The parts of our brain that are horrified are very near, like right next to the parts that are turned on. So it's kind of like while we can't stop rubbernecking as we go past a car wreck, there's this need to know.
Right.
So anytime an addict is out there going, I just want to know about the bad side of this,
Right.
understand that can be a slippery slope.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Coffee with a Cup of C.U.R.E. I'm Jay.
I'm Lori. Thanks for joining us today. This is part 2 of what we started on the last podcast. It's basically covering the basics of betrayal. I'd go back and listen to that one first because we have some information about our story and if you don't think porn can be addictive, that sort of thing. Again, we will be speaking from a sexual integrity standpoint because that's what we do. We help couples there. And I'll just jump right into it. The other things that I wish I had known were, I wish I would have known that it could never satisfy him, or it would never satisfy him. There's a chemical that gets released in men, when they're with people they love and they orgasm, there's a chemical that gets released called prolactin. And what that does is it decreases the testosterone, so then he feels satisfied. When he's not in love with the woman, or if he's having solo sex, then he's never satisfied. And the problem with that is before the internet, before actually high-speed internet, pornography came to people in the form of magazines. And I think the reason the internet pornography addiction is so rampant is because the guys would get bored with the pictures in the magazines. It's like, once I saw them, it's like, okay, yeah, you're old news now.
Right.
But on the internet, there's a never-ending flow of new stuff that people can see. That's where also pornography addiction can get into some really scary areas because it never satisfies. So if you listen to the last episode, remember how we said that a guy can kind of freak himself out or traumatize himself by his own actions. Because you go out there, you look for sex, you see all sorts of stuff that at first the man might be horrified by. But later, because the vanilla kind of pornography no longer satisfies, that gets logged, that horrific stuff gets logged away. Well, maybe that. And there's another thing you might want to know, and that is the parts of our brain that are horrified are either the same parts or very near, like right next to the parts that are turned on. So it's kind of like why we can't turn away from, why we can't stop rubbernecking as we go past a car wreck. It's like there's this need to know, which I think got Adam and Eve in trouble in the garden. It was the tree of knowledge of good and evil. I want to know what this is.
Right.
So anytime an addict is out there going, well, I just want to know about, and it can be any kind of addiction, I just want to know about the bad side of this.
Right.
Understand that can be a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Right. So I wish I would have known it would never satisfy. I wish I would have known how important boundaries were for me to maintain.
Oh, yeah.
They're so important. And I wish I would have known how difficult they were to maintain.
Yeah.
For me, it was like I thought I'd set a boundary and he'd respect it. But no, I didn't just have to set a boundary, I had to hold it. And I didn't just have to hold it, I had to know what I was going to do if he didn't respect that boundary.
Right.
Very, very difficult, but a game changer for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to echo that for the person who's been betrayed, the best, most effective tool you have is boundaries. Mm-hmm. One of those boundaries may be that the other person needs to leave the home. Mm-hmm. They need to go be separated from you for some period of time. And there's good reasons behind that, but those boundaries help the addicted person, the betraying person, to know that you're serious, mm-hmm. that there are real consequences. And that is a big part of what changes in addicts' behavior is real consequences. So those boundaries are super important. And like Lori said, they're not going to be held by the other person. They're not going to respect those boundaries. They're going to test those boundaries just like a little kid.
Yeah.
You know, just like a dog checking a fence line, looking for a hole in the fence. They're going to do that with your boundaries. And when you can hold them, then they will change. Mm-hmm. Boundaries are so crucial and they're so hard to maintain. So that's my comment there.
Okay. Jay said, you know, if you hold your boundaries, then they'll change. They'll either change or they will show you their true colors.
True.
When a woman finds her voice, that's when things get hairy. I mean, for us, it's fairly easy to get her stabilized. It's fairly easy for Jay to get the guy some sobriety, with our one-on-one clients especially. But when we get them together and they start working on their relationship, or when she starts using her voice, that's when things get hairy. It's like, I thought I knew my husband, but oh my gosh, he is, when he doesn't get his way, he comes unglued. He's a different guy than I thought. So.
And I think she was speaking about me in the past, not me in the current. So.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I wasn't even thinking of you. I was just thinking this is what women say. You know, I didn't even know my husband. Yeah, I gotcha. I know you. Anyway, another thing I wish I would have known is that he could make me his one and only. Mm-hmm. There are some steps that you can take that can actually literally addict you to each other in a good way. I wish I would have known that, because I always felt like I would never ever be able to compare, until somebody told me one time, why isn't it that porn can't compare to you? And that opened up a completely new mindset for me, and that's what we help couples do now. So I wish I would have known that he could make me his one and only, that he would have wanted to do that as well.
Yeah.
That was something. Okay.
Well, and from my standpoint, you know, making you my one and only also gave me the benefit of being fully known. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of guys who are struggling with this addiction or other addictions, it's the idea that nobody wants to know me. Mm-hmm. Or if they really knew me, they would leave. Mm-hmm. And so being fully known and making you my one and only has helped me walk away from my addictive behavior much more easily.
Yeah. And guys, understand your spouse does want to know you. If she was going to leave, she probably would have done it already.
Yeah.
So she's sticking around because there are good parts in you. She just wants to see those good parts hang around more often. Another thing I wish I would have known is that marriage could be this great. I knew that my mission in life before I even met Jay was to have a great marriage and to help other people do the same. And that just resounded in me, and I knew that, yes, that's what I want, but I didn't know it could be this great. I didn't know we could have this healthy interdependence, and that it could be so fulfilling, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess I didn't know that it could be so good for him as well.
Right. So something that should be on my recording and isn't is the fact that marriage, having a healthy marriage, is a big part of my sobriety. You know, it makes pornography just pale in comparison, because it can't compete with her. Mm-hmm. Those women, those images don't know the real me. And if they did, they would reject me, because they're not ready for that much heavy lifting in their lives, I don't think, the way Lori was. So so marriage is a great deterrent to a healthy marriage.
A healthy, happy one. Yeah.
Great deterrent to the pornography habit.
Mm-hmm. My last one is that it would be worth it, but that kind of goes into the marriage could be this great. On this topic, if you've not downloaded it already, go to pornpainhealed.com, pornpainhealed.com, and download a free guide called 7 Tools Women Rarely Find. That will give you things you can do right now in order to start healing more quickly if you've been betrayed. Not everybody needs to go out there and download it, but if you have been betrayed, it's a great, great place to start.
All right, everybody. We will see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.